Welcome to morning Gita Gyan session. Today we are continuing chapter number 5th, and today we will be covering two shlokas, 11 and 12. We'll see the shloka and the translation, and we'll try to take the essence from both of them. कायेन मनसा बद्धाय केवलैर इन्द्रैरपि योगिन कर्म कुर्वन्ति संगम त्यक्त्वा आत्मशुद्धये. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. Next shloka, number 12. युक्त कर्म फलम त्यक्त्वा शांतिम आपनोति नैष्ठिकीम् आयुक्त काम कारेण फलासक्त निबध्यते. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, steadily devoted soul attain unadulterated peace because he offered the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor because becomes entangled. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji Mataji want to read the shloka and translation?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Kalyani Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Bhagavad Gita 5.11. कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even the senses only for the purpose of purification. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. 12, anybody want to read? 12?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please.
Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai. युक्त कर्म फलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिम् आपनोति नैष्ठिकीम् अयुक्त कामकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the results of all the activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so we'll see the details. So this chapter number 5th, shlok number 11 and 12, it explains how a devotee used daily work, mind and senses as a tool for heart purification rather than becoming a bondage, the source of bondage. So we all know that all our senses, they are the root causes of this bondage. But we'll see here how a devotee use these senses in a day-to-day life. So we see that Arjuna, he's having a dilemma. And because of this dilemma, he asks Lord Krishna whether the renunciation of work. What is the renunciation of work? That means leaving all your work, taking sannyas. The renunciation of work or the action in devotion. And what is action of devotion? That is karma yoga. So he is actually in dilemma that whether taking sannyasa is best or doing the karma yoga, so he is asking Lord Krishna, which is superior for spiritual elevation. So it is very much confirmed that Arjuna want Arjuna is a devotee and he want to progress in spiritual life. That is why now he is in Delhi. Man. Okay, I want to progress in spiritual life. So should I take the sannyasa or should I continue the karma yoga? And because of which Krishna is clarifying. What Krishna is clarifying, Krishna is saying inactive renunciation is difficult and that often leads to mental distraction. So this is very important thing that we have to make a note. What Krishna is saying, inactive renunciation is very difficult. That means renunciation of work, leaving all the work and taking sannyas, it is not easy. It is for a very strong mind, very a person who is already very much elevated. So the main reason for that is it causes a lot of mental distraction. Whereas if you take active duty, perform in divine consciousness. So what is divine consciousness? Divine consciousness means bhakti. So active duty, perform in bhakti, purifies the heart far faster. So he is clearly saying कि you actively do your duty, but you perform in bhakti. That will purify your heart. So ultimately, what is our objective? Our objective is to purify the heart, right? So all we do Krishna consciousness. Why? Because we understand our condition, right? We are very impure soul. That is the reason we are here in this situation. So now the only path is we purify our heart. The faster we purify our heart, the earlier we get the liberation. So the bhakti is the only way to purify your heart. And Lord Krishna is clearly saying here, you do your active duty. So we see that how this verse 11 and 12, it explains how a devotee use daily work, mind and senses as a tool to purify the heart. So what I will get by purifying my heart? What I will get? So it is very obvious that we will get the liberation only because of once the heart is purified. So other way of saying is कि we are out of the bondage. So these two shlokas are very important in explaining this. Because a lot of people think that doing bhakti means taking just sannyas, leaving all the work. And how Lord Krishna himself is telling you don't have to leave anything. So the beauty of Krishna consciousness is that you are not leaving anything. You continue your work as it is. But there is little difference. So first we have to understand that this work is not our enemy, right? It is not an obstacle in bhakti. So action itself never bind a soul. So we have to remember this very important line that the action itself never bind the soul. It is the selfish desire for the outcome that creates the claim, the so basically what happens? We always think that if we do karma, then we'll actually get the bondage. So that is why it is clearly clarifying this part that our action itself will never bind or our soul will not get the bondage since because we are doing some action, right? But our selfish desire, the outcome from that desire will actually create the chain of karma. So the seekers like us often mistake spiritual life for, we think ki we'll quit the job, we'll abandon our family, go to somewhere in some isolated place or Himalaya. So we do that mistake. We think कि if we go away from all of this by leaving our job, leaving our family, then we'll get a peace, right? And we'll progress in bhakti. So we have to make this clarification very clear that कि our soul is not get bounded because of performing this daily duty. It is actually the bondage comes from our self desire. So, true renunciation, when we say it is not about stopping the physical action, but stopping the selfish motivation. The problem is with all our physical act, we have a selfish motivation, the outcome. And that is where the things are getting worse. But now you will say, ki, we always do some action to get some result. Then how it is possible? So there will be always motivation. Without that, how we can actually perform this karma? But when the action is performed without any personal agenda, so in this slok it is mentioning sangam tvaktva, without any personal agenda. If we are performing something, the every work that previously bound you become the mechanism of your liberation. So today, because of our past karma, we know we are bounded. How we know? Because we know why we are suffering. So that is why we are bounded. So here we see that it is talking about Yukta Vairagya. So we have to understand what is that Yukta Vairagya. What is the philosophy behind that? Because a Krishna conscious person act only for Krishna satisfaction. So any work done by body or your mind or your intelligence or senses is purified. So that means what? Ki whatever work we do for Krishna satisfaction, that is the only way we'll have all our senses get purified if we do it for Krishna satisfaction. So you are seeing here that clearly what we are doing, instead of having self motivation or getting a self outcome, we are turning it towards Krishna satisfaction. So the body and the mind and the intelligence, they do not belong to us, they belong to Krishna. That we have to take it as a base. Ki why we are having a self motivation, self, the basically all the senses that body, mind, and intelligence, we want to get some outcome which is self motivated. But if it is belonging to Krishna, if it is, we clearly know that it is not belonging to us. So this Yukta Vairagya means true renunciation, right? Using this material energy in the service of divine. So we always think that ki the senses we'll reject these senses. These are useless, right? Because it is causing us the bondage. But instead of that, Lord has given us these senses. And using this material energy, so these are all the material energies for us. So using this material energy in the service of divine, right? That is what is Yukta Vairagya. So a person acting in this consciousness generates no karma. Whether you call it as bad karma or even as good karma, because we have seen earlier that even good karma will make bondage, right? And the best example is you are serving some, you know, needed person, or you're donating for charity. It is under the good karma, right? And bad karma, anyway, we know that harming somebody, self motive, self gaining attitude, you know. So, but good karma, when you are doing for somebody, but there also the problem is you cannot get out of the karma. There also bondage is there. Why? Because you are expecting some outcome by doing some good karma. So a person acting in his consciousness generate Krishna consciousness, basically generate no karma. So that is what we have to proceed. Right? Now, if we see in this next slide, the whole essence here is bhakti does not ask you to suppress your senses. It asks you to purify them through spiritual engagement. So, trying to forcefully shut all your senses, what will happen? What will be the result? It will result only in frustration and hypocrisy. We cannot force our senses for a very long time. We have seen that, right? Even while chanting, our mind get here and there distraction. All the time there is distraction. And now because of all this uh, so-called technology through social media and other things, the distraction is too high level. That is what is Kali Yuga, right? The more it advances, all this distraction, this frustration, this hypocrisy will never come down. It will keep on increasing. But so the whole thing is you cannot just say ki I will shut down all my senses, because it will lead to more frustration, more hypocrisy. So that is where this shloka number 11 is actually giving you the active purification process. So this 11th verse mentioned using your body, mind, and intelligence and all the indriyas, right? All your senses. You do the active purification. So in sadhana bhakti, the eyes look for what? So now he is slowly coming. So you see in the third picture, if you see how the sadhana, through sadhana, we are doing the bhakti engagement. How the eyes, all the senses, how we are engaging, the eyes look for deities. We use our eyes not to go to uh, PVR and look for some, uh, movie, or go to some big screen, watch some cricket match. Eyes are looking for seeing Radha Krishna, the deities. You are engaging your eyes to deities, ears towards hearing kirtan, tongue we are engaging toward tasting prasadam, and our hands we are engaging by serving. So you see, this engagement replaces the suppression, right? So that is how. So if there is no separation, then the frustration and hypocrisy will also go away. So we always see that this analogy that of the lotus flower. So what is that? Like a lotus flower untouched by the murky water. What is murky water? It is the dirty or abandoned water. So lotus flower, you see, it is growing in that murky water, untouched. A devotee lives in the material world without being tainted, tainted by its anxieties. So always we have the anxiety, right? Anxiety for the outcome. Because of the fear, we are getting so much anxiety, stress. Always nowadays, so many shops are open, which says that they will give the solution for all your stress and anxiety. But you see the lotus flower. So the whole crux is the surrendering of ownership. The peace is impossible when you claim ownership. Ownership over the result of your effort. So what is the source of this stress? The stress arises from the desire to control the outcome. Every time we are trying to control our desire. And that is how the stress is coming. So, what is the result here? The result, it is saying, offering all the outcome to Krishna. Release the mind from fear of failure and pride in success. Even if you achieve all this success, what happens? It results in so much of pride. You become proudy. But there is a clear way whatever the failure or success you're getting, you offer it to Krishna. And this you can do only when you understand clearly that all this result, all this outcome is coming from Krishna, right? So that is how you will actually granted equilibrium. Internal equilibrium is very important than external. See, we always try to do yoga. Why people are doing? For external benefit. Actually, yoga is for internal equilibrium, right? But what we are doing? We are doing yoga for external benefit. Somebody want to become slim, somebody want to reduce their stress. That is why they are doing yoga. That means all external, to for all the external outcome, to control the external things, we are doing yoga. So we have to understand this, right? So here, if you see in this slide, it's talk about the evaluation of motivation. How we'll get motivated and how what is the process. So everybody start with initial days. You see nobody is born, very few actually, who is already elevated from his past life, becomes a very strong bhakta. But generally what happens, majority, when we talk about, everybody start with gradually progress in spiritual things, right? So initially everybody have this uh, fear and material desire, right? Sakamakar, acting out of fear of punishment or desire for material rewards. So this is the level one. So this evolution is three-stage process where you actually come out of this fear of punishment, material rewards. So acting out of fear of punishment or desire, and then moving to level two where you do your normal duty, which is also called as nishkam karma, right? So from sakama karma, self you are going towards Nishkam Karma. That means in Nishkam Karma, what you are doing without attachment, without expecting the fruits of your activity, you do your karma. So what happens? It results in purification, inner purification. So that means performing the work as a duty without attachment to fruits. So remember that just theoretically it will not come. You have to daily practice. That is why we always we serve deities, we serve devotees, we do association, book reading, chanting. All is this are the gradual progress for inner purification. So in this shloka it is mentioned, right? Atma Shuddhaye. So your soul will start purifying. And then the third stage will come where you will be get pure love. That is bhakti. So acting purely out of spontaneous love for Krishna's pleasure. Where you will automatically see that your work will become worship. See, from our childhood days, we have always talk about this. We hear from our mentors, teachers, right? Work is worship. You go to school, you will see a banner, work is worship. So, what is work? We have to understand what is actually the work. Right? That it is describing here. So the three stage, level one, we see Sakama Karma. Then if we move to Nishkama Karma, and then the third level, we'll move to Bhakti. So you remember in previous slides, we are talking about Yukta Vairagya. So now you see there is two things here, Yukta and Ayukta. So you see this, uh, we are living in a place where there is duality, right? So again, what is the duality here? Yukta versus Ayukta. So Yukta is peace, Ayukta is stress. So how it is, how we can understand this? Very important to understand this. Yukta versus Ayukta. We'll see what is the consciousness. Yukta, when we say a devoted worker. So you see from the images, you will get this essence clearly. Whereas Ayukta is what? Unattached. The unattached worker. Right? And it is characterized by, if you see the Yukta, I'm not sure if it is getting too much technical or so we'll try to understand this. Yukta is characterized by offering the result to God. So act out of love or duty. Whereas Ayukta, if you see, it is driven by personal desire. So we are trying to differentiate these two things. In Yukta, you will actually offer all the result to God. Whereas in Ayukta, it is driven by personal desire, personal gain, which is also called as Kama Karena, attached to outcomes. So we are trying to break down this shloka here. And then you see that in Yukta, the shlok, it is mentioning Shantim Apnoti, unadulterated, steady peace. You will get, in Yukta, you will get, the internal experience will be steady peace. Shantim Apnoti. Whereas in Ayukta, if you see, what will be the experience? You will get constant anxiety, constant stress, and dissatisfaction. So, what will be the result of final Yukta? It is liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Whereas following the Ayukta, you will get entangled in material karma, which is, it is mentioning here, nibadhyate. You will be entangled. So then moving on, what is the takeaway? So consciousness determines the destiny. That is the main takeaway from this. Your consciousness will determine your destiny. As simple as that. So you see in the picture, there are two people in this picture. Both are performing the same job. They are sitting in front of the computer. They are, so you can see that in your office. When you go to your office, people are sitting adjacent to you, performing the exact same job. But how you are different from that. One will get entangled. You as a devotee will get liberated, whereas you are doing the same job. Why? Because consciousness determines the destiny. That is the differentiating factor. The external activity looks identical. You see, when we see from externally, it looks very same. But internal consciousness will determine your karmic weightage. So, work performed with a egoistic attitude. I am the doer, I am the result, I own the result. This will actually create the bondage. Whereas the work performed with surrendered heart will actually become the ladder to divine consciousness. So, whole takeaway for us is the consciousness determine the destiny. And what Srila Prabhupada remind us? What Srila Prabhupada remind us? We'll see that. Okay. Uh, so Srila Prabhupada gives some practical reminders that real yoga is not about changing your external surrounding, but changing your internal focus. So you do not need to alter your profession, or you don't give up your home, or your social responsibilities. You simply reframe your daily duties around Krishna Sambandha, divine connection, what we call as. You perform your work to the best of your abilities as a offering, and you leave your result. Leave all the results of those outcome in the hand of Supreme. Clearly mentioning in every shloka, so that practical application and the daily reflection, if you see from these two shloka. So shloka number 11 will actually examine your daily routine activities. From today onwards, you actually, so this is the last discussion we are having. And after that, we'll hear one story also around all of this. So the whole crux of this shlok number 11 and 12, if you see. So in shlok number 11, the practical application will be you examine your daily routine, your daily activity, identify where you can shift your attitude from how does this benefit me to how can this be done cleanly as a service. So you see that you are actually changing your attitude, because see, every time whatever we are doing, we are, first our focus is how it will benefit me. Without that, I will not do this work. Everywhere you see, people are doing this. They ask inside how it will benefit me. If it benefit me, I will do the work. Otherwise, I will don't do the work. So instead of that, you do the work as a duty, right? Most of the time we see that we don't want to go to office, right? Nobody want to go to office. Only the motivation is money. So actually, even that will not help. So why? Because our attitude is benefiting me instead of serving Krishna. So you identify your daily routine. That's what the slok number 11 is talking about, telling us. You observe closely your daily routine and you identify how you can shift your attitude. And in verse number 12, if you see, identify a specific outcome or goal you are currently anxious about. Consciously surrender ownership of that outcome to Krishna to experience the immediate peace, that is Shanti. So it is the shlok number 12 is promising us that you will get only Shanti when you're consciously you surrender the ownership of your outcome. So two very clear action item for us. From stroke number 11, identify your routine and shift your attitude. And stroke number 2, clearly telling ki it is promising that you will get immediate peace the moment you change your consciousness and surrender to the owner, who is Lord Krishna. So around all these, we'll hear one story of King Janaka and one sadhu, and we'll conclude. So this is the story of King Janaka and a sadhu. Once upon a time, so there was a very great king. His name was Janaka. Now this Janaka, he was not a ordinary king. Janaka was a proper king. So what do you mean by proper king? They are called as Rajarashi. They are not just king who dictate, but they actually are in Lord consciousness. So even though they are sitting in a big royal throne, surrounded by all the gold, solid gold, silk, luxury items, whatever you can think of, their mind was totally detached from material things. So this King Janaka was like that. He was having all this royal throne surrounded by gold, jewelries, luxury items. But his mind was totally detached from all this material thing. He used to do all his royal duties only as an offering to God. And he keep his heart completely pure. Just like we saw Krishna explains in chapter number, this shloka number 11 we saw, right? Sangham tyak atma shuddhaye. So he used to keep his heart completely pure. So one day what happened, one sadhu, he came from forest. He was completely renunciated. He came to his kingdom of Raja Janaka and he saw his grand palace. He saw all the royal food, lavish lifestyle. This sadhu, he started getting little doubtful. And the sadhu, he thought to himself, how this man can be a real yogi. He claims to be a real yogi. He's a king. He's in so much lavish lifestyle. How he claim himself to be a real yogi? He's living like a king. He's enjoying all the royal comforts. While I am sitting in a forest, I am eating this dry leaves. This is not fair. This is simple hypocrisy. He's just claiming he is a yogi, but he is enjoying life. So that is the thought process going in this sadhu's mind. He is little doubtful. But this King Janaka, he was a very wise king. he immediately caught what was going in the sadhu's mind. And he immediately decided to clear this sadhu's doubt. So instead of giving him heavy lecture, he thought I will give him a practical demo. So he invited this sadhu to his special palace tour and he arranged a massive feast. So just before his palace tour started, this Janaka handed a small cup of he gave him a bowl and this bowl was filled with oil. And this king told this sadhu, Ki Maharaj, you kindly take a tour to my complete palace and you enjoy all the decorations, all the luxury you enjoy. But there is a small condition. What is that condition? The condition is my two guards, two security guards, they will also work along with you. And you see that these two guards, they are having swords with them. And I am giving you this bowl, which is full of oil. You be a little careful. You see that this oil will not spill from this cup. If even a single drop of oil fall from this cup, these two security guard will immediately chop your head on the spot. So that was the condition. Now hearing this poor sadhu, he got intention. So he hold the cup very tightly with both the hand and he started walking very slowly and taking the tour of the palace. And he is taking tiny steps in a fear. And his eyes were 100% glued into the oil. So he took one full round of that luxury palace and he returned safely. He returned and he reported in the assembly hall where the Raja Janaka was waiting for him. And there is not a single drop of oil spilled from the cup. So Raja Janaka, he smiled and he asked, So Maharaj, you tell me please now, how was my grand palace? Did you enjoy the beauty of the painting on the walls? Did you hear the beautiful music playing in the courtyard? The sadhu, he wiped his sweat out from his forehead and he said, Are Baba, what music, what painting? My whole life was hanging on this cup of oil. I did not see or hear even a single thing because my entire focus was on saving my head. Because the moment the drop of oil spills, my head is chopped. So this King Janaka, he replied very softly, Maharaj, this is the exact secret of my life. Externally, I am managing this huge empire, giving all orders, running the government, but internally, my mind is fixed onto the divine. It is just like how your eyes were fixed on this oil cup. So you took all the tour, there was plenty of beauty, you are surrounded by plenty of beauty and luxury, but still your eyes were fixed on that oil cup. Like that, this royal palace is surrounded by me, but it is not inside me. So that is the realization. So the sadhu realized his mistake and he bowed down in front of the king. He understood that real yoga is not about running away to the forest, leaving your duty, running away from your duty, but doing your duty in the world without letting your personal attachment entering your heart. So, with that, we'll end the story and the class here. So, kindly forgive me if there is any mistake. Any questions, any point you want to share?
Prabhuji, I thank you very much for a wonderful class, Prabhuji. All this while, I had a different understanding of work is worship, and today you've clearly said, explained it in the Bhagavad Gita, on the Bhagavad Gita principle, Prabhuji, and also Yukta Vairagya. Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for that class. Actually, that example that you have given was the best example that I've come across, Prabhu. That really tells us what, we should not succumb to the surroundings that we are always in
Yeah.
and be devoted to the mind, our mind to that Lord, That was the most important take that I can take
Yes,
from
Prabhu. That
today's
is Yukta
Prabhu. Really,
Vairagya, right,
really.
Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Really. That really explained the whole concept of what you have explained, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
all this we have to
Dhanmat
practice of becoming like a lotus flower, right? In the
Yes,
murky
Prabhu.
water.
Yeah,
Prabhuji, yesterday Sumantra Mataji also covered this topic very well, Prabhuji.
Yes.
definitely.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Dhanmat Pranam, Prabhu.
So one thing is we have to the important takeaway for us is to identify our daily what we are doing uh, through our senses daily and identify how we can actually make it from self-motivated or self-gaining towards serving to Krishna. So because all our daily works are different. Uh, some go to office, some uh, go to kitchen, some do other works. We have to identify each our activity and see the condition of our senses, how we can engage that. Any other sharings? Any other? So these are very practical things we had to identify because we cannot get, we cannot, it's very difficult to become a sannyasi as we have seen. Cannot just leave everything, go to Himalaya or leave all our activities and our duties, especially for grihasthas.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna
Yes,
Mataji.
ma'am. The whole Bhagavad Gita teaches us that you cannot run away from work. Arjuna didn't want to fight. He was such a good Kshatriya. Then Krishna tells him, Prabhu, like you have to do your duty. I mean, whatever the outcome is, that is entirely, left on to the Lord. So we cannot run away. Like, I see so many people even in ISKCON when they come, the first thing they say, we want to become full time and we want to leave our job. And then my Prabhu tells them, have you got enough backup? Like temple life is not easy. I mean, you can still work, be Krishna conscious and continue, so we have to get this very straight that work, we cannot, lie down like a crocodile and say, oh, jo muh mein aayega, ho jayega. We've not come up to that stage. We have to work, but just dovetail it to like what Arjuna did. Listen
Yes.
to authority and go accordingly. Thank you, Prabhu. The class was very good. Thank you.
So, Mataji, Prabhuji, we realize that we always try to run away from our duties. So this I can relate to. I used to hop my jobs in expectation that I will be more in a better position. My manager will have come torture to me. I will get rid out of it. But when I landed into a new job. I saw that my troubles are double folded. So it is just like that. If you try to run from our activities, thinking that my problems will get solved, I will be in a better position. But in reality, we find that we get into more, our trouble get increased. So only thing is the changing the consciousness and attitude. So whatever, so that is why we see that Kunti Maharani, right? He used to ask for more trouble because that way she can be more connected with Krishna. She can purify herself. And we see that we always run out of, if we see small trouble, we run out of it. But actually, it is all these troubles are actually stepping stone for us. Purifying, it is actually destroying our past karmas, actually. Lord is, so we know that a Lord is giving all the problems to us only because of our past karmas. It's not that Lord is our enemy. He has set a rule, whatever you will do, you will get the result. So if we are in trouble, so many people ask this question and they leave devotion service only because of that. I am doing so much chanting, I am doing serving, I am praying deities. My problems are not still, they are same. So what is the use of this Krishna consciousness? Just leave and go. We have to thank God that our karmas are getting cut. We are getting purified. So that is the thing. The whole tolerance is everything. We have to tolerate, just like Maharani Kunti. So thank you, Prabhujis and Matajis. Hope these two sloks we have done the justice. So we'll do 3 time chanting for all our spiritual progress. Also, please do some extra round for our Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami. So kindly chant 3 times. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
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 Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama, Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama,
Hare
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 Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
पंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
Krishna,
कृपा
Hare
सिंधुभ्यश्च
Krishna, Krishna.
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज भगवत गीता की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pranam Prabhu, Pranam to
Thank you very
everybody.
much, Prabhu, for the
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Hare Krishna.